بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا طيبا وعملا متقبلا. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our fourth and final episode on Surah Al-Ma'arij. Last week we ended the set of verses with a description of the best of the believers. And this week we will go through verses that describe the disbelievers' attitudes in contrast to what we read last week, and wrap up the surah, inshallah. In this set of verses, Allah depicts a scene in which the disbelievers of Mecca would hurry to the Prophet ﷺ when he was reading the Qur'an, and then split up into groups around him. فما للذين كفروا قبلك مهطعين عن اليمين وعن الشمال عزين. So what is the matter with the disbelievers that they rush headlong towards you, O Prophet, from the right and the left in groups to mock you? This verse is sarcastically asking about the disbelievers' attitudes and confused movements, moving hurriedly towards Rasulullah ﷺ, but without any intention of receiving guidance from him. They only hurried to hear what the Prophet ﷺ recited, and then they would split up into groups to discuss how to resist what they've heard. They would mock him and the believers, saying that if there was, in fact, a hereafter, they are better entitled to paradise than the poor believers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rhetorically asks them as a response to what they said, أَيَطْمَعُ كُلُّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ أَن يُدْخَلَ جَنَّةَ نَعِيمٍ. Does every one of them expect to be admitted into a garden of bliss? Do they really think that they have such a high position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to ensure they will enter heaven? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replies, كَلَّا إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُمْ مِمَّا يَعْلَمُونَ. No, but indeed, they already know what we created them from. They are well aware that they have been created from humble fluid. This verse emphasizes human humility by reminding people of their lowly origin and shattering their pride and arrogance. It questions those who disbelieve and commit evil and how they expect divine favor when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's justice applies to all. فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِرَبِّ الْمَشَارِقِ وَالْمَغَارِبِ إِنَّا لَقَادِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَن نُبَدِّلَ خَيْرًا مِّنْهُمْ وَمَا نَحْنُ بِمَسْبُوقِينَ. So I do swear by the Lord of risings and settings that we are truly capable of replacing them with others better than them, and we cannot be prevented from doing so. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns that He can replace them with better beings, that they cannot escape punishment for their deeds. The mention of risings and settings may be referring to the risings and settings of millions upon millions of stars in the universe, or the sunrise and sunset over every point on our planet as it revolves. Regardless, this is an indicator of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's might and ability. If He can create our planet and all the stars, how can they disbelieve in His promise of the hereafter? How can they think that they will have favor over someone who they did not worship? The surah concludes with an address to Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, telling him to leave them to face their fate on that promised day. It visualizes their state when they are utterly distressed and regretful. فَذَرْهُمْ يَخُوضُوا وَيَلْعَبُوا حَتَّى يُلَاقُوا يَوْمَهُمُ الَّذِي يُوعَدُونَ. So let them indulge in falsehood and amuse themselves until they face their day which they have been threatened with. يَوْمَ يُخْرَجُونَ مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ سِرَاعًا ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الَّذِي كَانُوا يُوعَدُونَ. On that day, they will come forth from the graves swiftly, as if racing to an idol for a blessing. خاشعة أبصارهم ترهقهم ذلة ذلك اليوم الذي كانوا يوعدون. With eyes downcast, utterly covered with disgrace. That is the day they have always been warned of. What an intense image. This is a definite warning for the disbelievers, informing them of their fates should they continue their ways. Their description is completed by the statement, utterly covered with disgrace, seeing the humility and disgrace in their eyes. They used to indulge in idle talk, but the day they doubted will surely arrive, the day they tried to hasten its arrival. Thus, the surah ends perfectly in joining the opening and end. It represents a part of the long discussion of the major issues of resurrection, reckoning, and consequences of our actions, contrasting the Islamic concept of life with the un-Islamic concepts. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.